You know, imagine you believe something that isn't entirely true. Like you hold a piece of information that is actually false. Now, this is one of the questions that jumped out to me while reading the book Automating Humanity by Joe Toscano. You know, previously, this is how the internet works, right? About 10, 15 years ago, before the advent of artificial intelligence, yeah. So when you search, for example, when you search something on the internet, let's say you search something on search engine like Google or Yahoo, or you search something on Facebook, social media like Facebook or on YouTube. And basically, on the high level, this is how the algorithm works. When you search something on Google, so Google picks your query, right, and then try to destructure it to get the intent of the query from the word, and then Google tries to find matching results by looking at the intent and then looking at their indexes, right? Indexes basically pages on the internet, right? Website on the internet that could contain likely results to your search query. So after getting a list of these indexes, a list of these pages, so Google also does something like page ranking. There's a page ranking algorithms that determines how relevant the pages are, right? How to sort the pages and to display the pages to you. Let's say they discover like the algorithm discover like 30 websites or 30 pages that contains likely response to your search, right? So the page ranking algorithms determines how to list them in in ascending order. So now so finally, basically the list of pages or the informations are returned back to you as a user, and that's why on Google when you scroll down, right, you see Google provides something called paginated responses. So you can see different pages containing results, page 1, page 2, page 3, up to like 10, 20 pages, right? And so previously you literally had to navigate through each of those pages to to see the response or results that aligns with what you are looking for. But nowadays, with the advent of artificial intelligence and something called personalization algorithms, right? So the algorithms or what determines the results that is being displayed to you as a user is slightly different, right? Now, Google, when you search something right on the internet, now the systems or the algorithms try to, after doing all the standard querying and then all the standard aggregations that I talked about, the indexing, the page ranking, all this kind of stuff. Now the system also tries to filter the results through what they know about you as a user. Now, what they know about you in the terms of your past or most recent activities, like your clicks, the content you've engaged with, the kind of content you interact with, your shares, your the content you react with, or your past searches, and things like your current location. Yeah, basically all the data on the internet that can serve as behavioral clues or behavioral residues to the kind of to your personality or the kind of person you are. So these are the result that has been displayed. The results of these algorithms are being filtered through what they know about you as a user to finally determine the kind of information that will be presented back to you. That's why when you search something on Google now, when you search something on Google, when you scroll down, you will see something called this result is personalized, and then you can see another button to say search without personalization, that kind of stuff. So when you toggle between the two, you will see that when you do a search without personalization, the results are kind of slightly different in terms of they can be more generic. Now this is the concept of personalization, and the personalization is actually a very good technique or a very good system on the internet. It makes the internet more usable because, for example, let's say you're on Spotify, right? If you type that listen to gospel music, so since the system knows that you love gospel music, it's just very reasonable to recommend more of gospel music to you that if might actually not have explored, right? Instead of recommending or giving you other genres of music like hip hop or jazz, which you might actually not like, or you are on Netflix. Maybe you are someone that loves watching documentaries, right? It's just very reasonable and saves you a lot of time of searching to automatically recommend more of documentaries to you instead of giving you other forms of videos or other types of videos. And so, and I mean, even advertisement is just very good for it's very good for these companies to know you to some levels, to know us as a user to some levels, so that they'll be able to show you relevant adverts based on your needs, based on the things that as a user you might actually engage with. So this is the concept of personalization, and it's just very good. It makes the internet stress-free, usable, and so just fun, right? Or on your social media feeds, right? It's just very good that you see more of maybe you're someone that engage with politics, right? You like to see more of politics instead of seeing stuff like entertainment too. So just that's the concept of personalization. But the problem is not with what I want to discuss. It's not with the algorithm itself. Now, the problem begins when algorithms not only personalized our shopping information or our entertainment information, but the problem begins when algorithms start to personalize reality itself. Now, what do I mean by personalized reality? You see, there's something in I think in music, in acoustic, called echo chamber. Now, literally, echo chamber is let me do a quick search here to get the literal meaning. Now, echo chamber is basically a studio room, right, built with hard walls that bounce sound waves around to create echoes and reverberation for audio recording. So, echo chamber is basically a room with padded walls, such that probably when a musician is recording an audio, right? So the rooms kind of bounce the sound waves back to create vibration and echo. So basically, a room that enables the recorder, right, to hear back what they are saying, right, to hear back the audio, right, to echo back the audio that the person is recording. So that's basically literal meaning of echo chamber, right? It's basically a studio room. Now, in the context of the internet, or digitally, or figuratively, now echo chamber is is a kind of a system or an environment where when an individual only encounter beliefs or opinions or sets of informations that match closely with their existing beliefs, or that match closely with what you already believe, right? Let's say you hold an opinion about who is the GOAT in football, right? Probably Messi is the GOAT, or Cristiano Ronaldo is the GOAT. When you already hold the belief that Cristiano Ronaldo is the GOAT, and you like more videos that says Cristiano Ronaldo is the GOAT, the algorithm will begin to feed you more of that kind of content, right? That's basically echo chamber, right? Now, so that's basically echo chamber. So basically, the mechanism works like this: you click on something or you interact with the content, right? So the algorithms, notices that that's your interaction, right? Then the algorithms give you more of that kind of content. So, and as a user, you engage with it again, and then by you engaging with it again, the algorithm becomes more confident of what you like or the type of things you love, right? So now increasingly, your psychologically, your worldview is becoming concentrated on that kind of content or that kind of information that it becomes increasingly likely that you that you engage with that kind of content. So that's how basically the loop continues. Right? That's how the loops continue, and then yeah. So for example, let's say you're a type that loves politics, right? And there's a you already hold an opinion. You already hold an opinion that okay, or you interact with the content that says a particular political party, a particular political party is not doing well, or a particular political party, if elected, will destroy the country. Right now, that so the algorithm notices that and then begins to actually feed you more of content, or more of people, or begins to show you more of people that hold that particular opinion. So by you as a user constantly seeing that kind of content, or constantly seeing people that hold that opinion, right, you psychologically begins to believe that okay, everybody thinks like that, right? You psychologically begin to believe that okay, everybody holds that same opinion. But one thing is, your social media feed, or what you see on the internet, is not a window to reality. It is just a piece of reality, or a slice of reality that has been engineered particularly, specifically for you as a user. And that's why it just gets more. That's why personalization, the concept of personalization gets dangerous, right? Because this particular kind of this mindset, right? This mindset can reinforce misinformation. It can reinforce prejudices. It can reinforce belief in conspiracy theory. It can reinforce outrage. It can reinforce fear. It can reinforce unhealthy behaviors. It can reinforce it can reinforce consumerism, irrational behavior, and just it can reinforce racism itself. So just different kind of stuff. So that's why personalization, what you see on the internet, or what you see on our social media feed, is not the totality of reality. It is just a piece of reality that has been engineered, and that has been optimized specifically because of what the algorithms, or what the system knows about you. Because it's very important psychologically. Companies want to make money, right? And social media companies want to make money. So it's just very important that it's just very reasonable that they show you much of the content, or much of the information that you will agree with, so that as a user you can continuously interact with the system, use the system, and just make the system, the essence of the company. I made in one of my previous video, right, that the aim of companies nowadays, tech companies nowadays, or social media companies nowadays, is not really to provide information, right, but to provide, to get to how to it's not really to provide information, but to get users engagement, right, to get us engaged with the system. Yeah. So the challenge of or how to actually use the personalized internet that we have nowadays is not by default deliberately, or by default looking at some information that agrees with us, but deliberately seeking for information that that challenges us, right? So to escape this echo chamber, it is very important. So let's say it's very important that we deliberately seek out for other perspectives to our existing belief. Let's say you believe that a particular politician is bad, or a particular set of people are evil, or a particular product is not good. Have you tried to actually deliberately seek out for other perspectives so as to be able to make make reasonable comparison and valuable form valuable judgments, right? So I'm employing us, since now that we know that how the personalized internet works, and we're at the era of personalized internet. It's very good that sometimes we pick our assumption and belief and flip it. What if this is wrong? Sometimes play devil's advocates in our own beliefs and deliberately invite others to question them. Sometimes seek out perspectives that actually challenges you. Sometimes read media from different sides of the spectrum, right? And then sometimes deliberately listen to people that you normally or we previously disagree with. This will help us to have a very good view of reality instead of just having a narrow-minded or optimized reality that internet provides with us. And it's very important that we note that what we see on the internet is not entirely true, right? As a user, as a person, as an individual, it's very important that we make reasonable judgments and fact check what we see on the internet, what you see on social media, what you see on Google. The information you see on Google, you get on Google, is not entirely true, right? It might just be reinforcing your existing beliefs, right? Because they know that is what you want based on the kind of person you are, and then they want you to keep coming to the platform. So lastly, let's all keep learning and do not ever believe that you know everything, and then learn to navigate the internet. Do not let the internet navigate you. Cheers.